In the face of COVID-19, we need to build back stronger communities, safer communities in New York State. We need an increase in funding for Medicaid, affordable housing, and quality public schools, and recurring direct relief payments. We are here today to let Senator Schumer know that his constituents are urging him to push through and pass a people's bailout that puts the well-being of our families first. Our communities are suffering. Rochester is suffering. Our students are dealing with traumas related to a deficit that put them through horrific mid-year cuts. They are dealing with trying to maintain a quality education in the midst of a pandemic when their schools are chronically underfunded. It's time for our leaders at every level of government to act. We are calling on Senator Schumer to encourage him to fight for us and push to pass the next relief bill and pass it now. We need a people's bailout that brings everybody in and leaves no one out. We need guaranteed health care during the pandemic and beyond, cancellation of rents and an end to evictions, emergency money for the people, an extension of pandemic unemployment insurance, a cancellation of student debt, and a funding for green jobs for a just recovery. We are looking for our senator to make this happen. All across the state, the people are pushing to make our electeds deliver a people's bailout and to do it now. We wanted to come here today to remind people that it is important to advocate at every level of government, countywide, local government, statewide, and federal. All of these issues impact us on a daily basis, whether we see it or not. It's important to fight at every level. And we brought here community members, people who have been advocating at every level at different issues that intersect with each other to share their stories on why a people's bailout is important and why it impacts Rochesterians. Mikey?
My name is Mike Sportello, and I'm reading a statement today on behalf of a woman named Jessica Majors.
How do you spell your name, man?
The person whose statement this is, her name is Jessica space Majors. Jessica Majors.
Just real quick, how do you spell your name?
Mikesportiello. I first met Jessica Majors through something called wROCmutualaid.com. We're a group of fellow neighbors that are just trying to help out everyone that needs help during this time. We're put together by Democratic Socialists of America and Metro Justice, and again, we're called wROC Mutual Aid. This is her story that she wrote for me to share today. She's not feeling well today, as you'll soon understand as to why, and hopefully it'll become clear. Hi, my name is Jessica Majors. I just underwent 8 weeks of chemo and radiation treatment for larynx and stomach cancer. It started out as non-Hodgkin's lymphoma that started as skin cancer that quickly spread to my lymph nodes. I had surgery to remove lymph nodes under my armpits due to school being out during the summer and me not having a car. I had to go all summer without treatment because I didn't have daycare or a babysitter for my 13-year-old son. The free camps didn't provide transportation, I couldn't afford paid camp, and my income didn't allow me to pay for a babysitter. DSS wouldn't help with childcare because I'm not working. My son has autism and a seizure disorder and developmental delays that make it unsafe for him to be left home alone. Due to me prolonging treatment, the cancer had spread to my larynx, vocal cords, tonsils, adenoids, esophagus, and stomach. I'm still in stage 4 and have a port, neck IV, and a feeding tube. I don't qualify for assistance because I'm considered a 2-income household because my son receives Social Security. I have a $240 spend down every month to qualify for Medicaid, which is insane because I barely have enough money to cover my bills and expenses every month. I'm not trying to get over or get what I don't deserve, only want what's fair. My cancer could have been treated before it spread so greatly if I was able to get the help that I needed in the beginning. I shouldn't have had to choose between my health and my son's care, but it was a choice I had to make. And I'm still very sick and waiting to get help in my home. If it wasn't for my stimulus check and help from wROC Mutual Aid, I would not have had money to pay out of pocket for home care and babysitting for my son. That's the end of her statement, and in conclusion, I just want to say, in other roles I have in the medical community, although Jessica Majors is a very special person, this story is far from unique. Our communities are hurting, and we need Senator Schumer to pass the people's bailout today.
My name is Elizabeth McGriff. I'm from the Citywide Tenant Union, and the reason why I'm here is because I support what we're working for. We want a better community. We want a community where people can thrive and strive. We want health care. We want people to be able to live and have, you know, if they're in a dire situation, then they can get health care. We also want people to live in cleanly, habitable conditions. I know if you've heard about the story at Manhattan Square, the story at 447 Thurston Road. These are things that we're expecting our government officials to put forward first and prioritize those things for our community. Oftentimes when it goes neglected, people develop health concerns because of the mold and the mildew. And so many times people are being forced out of their neighborhoods just because investors come into our community. They don't pay a lot of taxes, they get tax breaks, and the residents in the community are basically forced out. So we want to stop that from happening. And one way to stop it is some of our bills that we're pushing for, the tenant opportunity to purchase. We want to give tenants, when the landlords, let me step back for a second, because when tenants, oftentimes their property is sold and they don't know to who, and they don't know who they're sending their money to. So with the TOPA, it would give them the opportunity, the first time the building goes up for sale, the tenants would be offered the opportunity to purchase. And we're also asking for the city to create funding so this can happen. Funding in the background so we don't get slumlords from out of state, out of our area, who don't even care about our community. And they take money from our community and they use it whichever way they want. It doesn't come back to our community once it's gone. So we want to stop that. That's what we're fighting for: decent, fair housing and more affordable housing. So many people that live in this community don't have a place to live. People like the Conifords, the Morgans, they get tax breaks. Instead of giving those breaks to them, it should go to communities so they can have affordable living housing where they can live and stay in the community and kind of grow in that community. When you think of home, it's the first thing people do. I mean, kids learn in their home when they have a steady home. School systems are better when kids can thrive in their community. So that's what we're asking for.
Spell your name, please.
Elizabeth McGriff, MC, Elizabeth ELIZABETH, McGriff, MCGRIFF.
Is that capital G?
Capital G, yes.
And you're
We're part of the citywide tenant union, but we believe that where our money is allocated, it should be allocated to programs that help the community instead of harm the community, especially black and brown communities. So that's why we're here.
How's it going? Thank you guys for coming out today. It really means a lot that you amplify all of the voices that have been heard today. The voiceless in America have gone unheard for far too long. As an educator for the last 5 years in the city of Rochester, I am too familiar with the disparities in education between what's going on in the city and what's going on in the neighboring suburban districts. There's a clear gap, there's clear disparities that are not being addressed. Governor Cuomo, we hope you are listening, because in the midst of this global pandemic, the disparities amongst school systems and school districts have become increasingly evident. From lack of materials to log online, from lack of food and resources at home, and everything in between. It is clear that what we're asking for here today, what we're all protesting about every weekend, is a more equitable society for everyone. And it starts with systemic change. As an educator, I know you have to have a lesson plan before getting out there and getting in front and teaching some kids. Governor Cuomo, we have a lesson plan for you. We've laid it out here for you today. And we want to see if you can execute that. Because as much as I enjoy your talks, your table talks on the pandemic, which are very informative, by the way, as much as I enjoy that, what we really need to do is sit down and have a talk at the table with all of the people who are represented here and talk about how we can save lives. Because I guarantee, I can almost be certain, that if you let this eviction moratorium expire right before school, it's a recipe for disaster.
Your name is?
My name is Mikey, and I'm with Save Rochester. Thank you. My name is Mikey. I'm with Save Rochester. No, I'm using my first name for this
Yeah,
weekend.
but if we're going to put this out there, we need to know who you are.
Okay, gotcha. I got you.
Real name.
Got you. Okay, Mike Johnson is my name.
Okay, very good.
Okay.
Common spelling, Mike?
MikeJohnson.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah.
As you can see, all of these issues are very much interconnected at every level of government. So when we call Senator Chuck Schumer to task, we're also calling Governor Cuomo to task, and our local officials as well. That goes for County Exec Adam Bello and Lovely Lauren, everyone on City Council, every level of government. We need to call out adamantly at every step of the way, because all of these issues are interconnected and deeply so. You cannot speak about education without speaking about housing. You cannot speak about housing without speaking about the healthcare crisis. All of these issues do not live in a vacuum. They are deeply interconnected. Since the super wealthy people like Goldman Sachs, Lloyd Blankfein, and Gary Cohen first urged Trump and McConnell to send people back to work during the pandemic, the billionaires in this country increased their wealth by more than $500 billion. 3 million, here's what that cost us. 3 million people infected in the U.S., at least, with Black and Latinx people getting sick at disproportionate rates. Now over 50,000 new infections every day, almost 135,000 people killed. 47 million people unemployed, again with Black and Latinx people taking the worst hit. Tens of millions losing health insurance, millions unable to pay their rent and now facing eviction. Poor and working class people should not suffer due to greed of powerful interests and supercharged systemic racism during the COVID-19 pandemic. And when we talk about Senator Chuck Schumer advocating for us on the Senate floor, we're also asking him to do a special carve-out for education, especially in Rochester. We are facing an incredible crisis here. But we also need to hold Governor Cuomo accountable and make sure that he doesn't flat fund our schools again, because we do not have the same protections as other institutions. Thank you. Do you guys have any questions before we walk this over? Yeah.
Why can't you guys go by first name? See, a lot of the stuff that we do is
Because we're putting this out to the community, and the community has a right to know who the people speaking are. We don't just put out.
we gotta respect our safety too.
My name is Stevie Vargas, S-T-E-V-I-E. Last name V-A-R-G-A-S. Thank you. We're going to go ahead and walk this over to the front of the federal building, and we're going to leave.